The following is the opinion of the guy doing the video, and it does not reflect the opinions behind YouTube, etc., etc. Hi, everybody. Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. Today I'm going to do a video that was requested by one of my members. It's going to be an interesting one because it's one I probably would have done anyway, just not now. Who remembers 1984? In that year, the fourth movie of the Superman series came out, but it wasn't Quest for Peace. It was Supergirl. This was the fourth Superman movie to take place in that universe. Superman 3 was 1983, and this movie takes place not long after the events of that particular film. We will get into details as we go, but before I get really started, I just want to say, thank you to my subscribers out there. I really appreciate you sticking around and liking what I do and stuff. I have been analyzing my analytics because apparently people think I should be doing this. And it turns out that about 70% of the people who watch these videos are subscribers, which leaves about 30% of the people watching it that are not. All I simply ask is that those that watch it that are not subscribed, give a thought about subscribing. It will really help me in the channel. I've decided that it would be really nice to get to spread as far as I can go, not because I'm an egotistical bum, not that I like comics. I like to spread the love of comics, and I'm hoping that the more people that see how much I love comics, they decide, hey, I love comics too, and so on and so forth. It's one of those things, think of it as a cult, okay? Without, any monetary donations to me or whatever you want to call it. I'm just joking. It's not a cult. All right. The Supergirl movie from 1984. This was interesting because if I recall correctly, although there were TV shows with women superheroes being the subject of the thing, like the Bionic Woman and Wonder Woman, Supergirl, I believe, represents certainly the first American movie of the superhero variety that starred a woman. And even then, I don't really think it's an American because technically Supergirl is an English film. All the Superman movies are technically English films because of who owned them, where they were produced, and where they were filmed. They're more English than American. But I digress. Supergirl 1984. Here, of course, I have the DVD because I'm Supergirl. I'm very Supergirl centric. For those that have never seen this before, I really like Supergirl. And I realized I put the wrong t-shirt on, but I've started. Let's go. This film was directed by a gentleman by the name of Jeno Svark. I've tried it, and I just don't know if it's Schwark. That's what I'm going to go with because it's SZWARC, and he's French. He died earlier in 2025. That much I do remember. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I thought, maybe I'll watch this movie again soon. And then I got the suggestion, and I'm like, well, now I have to. And the movie was written by David Odell. As I said, this is the fourth movie in the series. And the film was released, another reason why this is more of an English film, it was released in the United Kingdom on 19 July 1984, and it wasn't released in North America, in the United States and Canada, until 21st November 1984. The cast, for the most part, was known quantities, and similar to what they did with Superman, they wanted to go with an unknown as the main character. So the cast, as written in the movie, was Helen Slater as Supergirl / Linda Lee, Faye Dunaway as Selena, the main antagonist. Peter O'Toole, Zoltar of Argo City. Hart Bachner plays Ethan. Mia Farrow, which is a name that a lot of people know, right, as well. Allura Inzi, her mom. Pardon me a sec. We had Brenda Vaccaro as Bianca, who is like the sidekick to the bad girl, to the evil person. Peter Cook, who's a famous English comedian, by the way, and this is a non-comedic role for him, but he's still very sarcastic. Plays Nigel, who is the love interest of Selena, or I would say more interested in loving Selena than she is back. And we've got Simon Ward, who played Zor-El, who's, Supergirl's dad. Mark McClure is the only character as Jimmy Olsen that came from the original Superman movies into the Supergirl movies, into this movie. Christopher Reeve was going to, and I'll get into that later, but he backed out at the last minute. Maureen Teefy plays Lucy Lane. Those are all of the main characters that are listed as being in the cast. There's a lot of other people, of course, that had like one line of speaking and other stuff, but we're not going to get, this is not IMDb, so we're not going to worry about it. Some notes on casting, though. Demi Moore was originally cast as Lucy Lane, but she decided to not be here and go film the movie Blame It on Rio, which honestly became a big success in the United States and was really good for her career, so it was a good move on her side. Christopher Reeve was supposed to make a cameo, but he declined at the last minute to do some stage work in New York on Broadway, and the movie covers Superman's absence by a radio broadcast saying that Superman has left Earth to go to another universe on a mission. This movie happened because the Salkins, who Alexander and Ilya Salkin owned the rights to make Superman movies in the 70s and 80s. They had also bought the rights to Supergirl as an afterthought because they thought, well, let's just make sure we control everything. She was supposed to actually debut in Superman 3, but was written out in the last version of the script. So Supergirl was actually going to show up in the final scene of Superman 3, but was decided against it, where he was like, who are you? I'm your cousin. But they hadn't got around to casting it. They just decided that it was just another salary they didn't want to pay, and they wrote her out at the time. So they had the big open casting, and Helen Slater ended up becoming the one that won the Supergirl role. And of course, this is her on the cover of the DVD. She's also, of course, played in the franchise in Smallville. She plays Lara Jor-El, who's Clark Kent's mother, and she plays Eliza Danvers in the Supergirl series, the adoptive mother of Kara Danvers. Now, the plot of the movie, the bread and butter, so to speak. Kara Zor-El lives in Argo City, an isolated community that survived Krypton's destruction by being transferred to the inner space, which is a pocket of trans-dimensional space between dimensions. Zoltar has allowed Kara to observe the Omegahedron, which is the thing that powers Argo City and which he has borrowed without permission. A mishap leads to the Omegahedron being rocketed into space. Taking a ship, Kara follows it to Earth, gaining powers and becoming Supergirl. What isn't listed in the movie, although it is shown, is that Kara is only a girl of about 9 or 10. And because Helen Slater didn't really, they tried to make her look as young as possible, and that she gains age in the as she travels. Well, that is played down when the final script was done, and it just looks like she's just becoming Supergirl. That was the original plan, and the Supergirl comic, which I'm going to show again later, is based on an earlier draft of the movie that ended up not being the final cut. There are scenes in there that didn't make the movie. There are scenes in there that only made the director's cut of the movie, etc., etc., etc. On Earth, the Omegahedron, is recovered by Selena, who is a power-hungry want to be witch. She's not really that powerful. She's not really as strong. She is assisted by Bianca, trying to free herself from a relationship with the warlock, Nigel. While not understanding what it is, Selena realizes the power of the Omegahedron and that it can grant true magic. Meanwhile, Kara arrives on Earth and enrolls in the local all-girls school as Linda Lee, where she befriends Lucy Lane and ends up liking Ethan. Ethan is the groundskeeper to the school, okay? And Ethan, by the way, the guy who played him is a Canadian. He's from Vancouver. What was the name that I said? Hart Bachner. I don't think he's been in a lot since, but he was from Canada. Ethan has also drawn the eye of Selena, who manages to trick him into coming to her place and giving him a love potion, thus drugging him. And when so that when he wakes, he falls in love with the first person he sees for a day. And Selena plans to be that person. In her absence, though, Ethan wakes up and groggily wanders the streets of Midvale. Using her new powers, Selena causes a construction vehicle to capture him, causing chaos all over the city that ends up with Supergirl having to change from Linda Lee to deal with this. Supergirl then changes back to Linda before opening the thing, and Ethan sees her, falls in love with Linda. Supergirl and Selena end up battling after a magical creature attempts to kill Linda, which Selena has, summoned. Selena captures Ethan in the meantime, and she is able to trap Supergirl and send her to the Phantom Zone. In the Phantom Zone, Supergirl eventually encounters Zoltar, who was banished there for losing the Omegahedron. He manages to get her out of the Phantom Zone through a portal at the sacrifice of his own life. Meanwhile, Selena has used the Omegahedron to make herself a princess. She's built a mountain in the middle of Midvale with a castle on top, and she's become, this big ruler and such. Emerging through the Phantom Zone through a mirror, Supergirl regains her powers and confronts Selena, who then uses the Omegahedron to summon a shadow demon. The shadow demon, by the way, isn't explained well in the movie, but in the script and in the comic book, it's explained as a piece of Selena herself. So that's why in the movie you will see the action Selena does, the demon is doing. When she's going like this, the demon's crushing Supergirl, that kind of stuff. The demon is about to win the fight until Supergirl hears Zoltar's voice in her head. Use the force, Kara. No. Telling her that she can do it, and it eggs her on. Supergirl breaks free from the fight, and Nigel tells her that the only way to defeat Selena is to turn the demon onto her. Supergirl then creates a whirlwind that ends up capturing Selena, the demon, and Bianca, and sucks them into the mirror, trapped. Ethan reveals his love for Linda is true and has figured out that she is Supergirl. He knows she has to leave, and the end of the movie has Supergirl returning to Argo City with the Omegahedron, thus powering up and saving the city. Now, part of the plots I've skipped over because everybody needs to watch this movie, I think, because to get the answer. Like, for example, like Selena not only captured Ethan, she captured Jimmy, Lucy, and Nigel, because she's using her new powers as the Princess of Midvale and all that stuff. The budget for this movie was $35 million, and the box office was only $14.33 million. So, by all accounts, this movie bombed. Most of the failure of this movie is attributed to the fact that the international release was done first, and the lack of release in the United States during the blockbuster season of the summer really affected the box office on this. It barely made it past Christmas in the theaters. I did go see this in the movie theater. I was, 13 when this movie came out. So, needless to say, I'm a big fan of Supergirl to begin with, and 13 is when you discover girls, right? At least I was discovering girls. And so I was very, very enthralled with the idea of going to see a Supergirl movie. The running time has three different ones. The United States theatrical version that came out, and the one I saw in the theater, was only 105 minutes long. The international version, which is one of these. The international version was the original cut that you could get on the Supergirl DVD. And that was 124 minutes long. And then there is the director's cut, which is 138 minutes long. And that's the one, I did not watch the DVD. I downloaded the director's cut. That is the one that I watched this past little while in order to do this review. Now, Supergirl was originally supposed to wear her current outfit at the time, which was the one with the headband and looked like the aerobics workout thing. But then they decided that Supergirl was better known in this outfit, which was a variant of her 1970s, 1960s and 70s look, in the way that I know that certain characters out there, you know who you are, Alan, prefer her in. Basically, deleted materials are shown in the comic book. So the comic book actually omits some of the scenes that made the original 105-minute cut. This comic book, though, was done pretty well. The cover is done by Garcia Lopez with Dick Giordano doing the. So it was Garcia Lopez and Dick Giordano did the ink, and I think that the cover is wonderful. What I find that they got wrong about the cover is the cover shows New York City, but Supergirl in the movie, and that may have been the earlier cut that Midvale was near New York City, but in the movie, Midvale's near Chicago, which also was the city that at that time Supergirl in her regular comic book, the movie came out and the second volume of Supergirl was still out that I've recently covered on my channel. It was still out, and so she was based out of Chicago then. So the movie changed the location to Chicago in the movie, and you actually see that by a map that's shown in the movie, which is again a scene not in the comic book. Critics were mixed about this, but generally they panned the movie as being really bad, cheesy. Acting was terrible. But I will admit, I liked it. It's just cheesy enough to be an 80s superhero movie, while being just interesting enough to keep you watching it till the end. So I would say it's a middling movie, but there's enough cute moments, and Peter Cook as Nigel is particularly strong, and so is Brenda Vaccaro as Bianca. Faye Dunaway, as everybody knows, has always been a fantastic actress, and she plays the villain well. And the fact that Kara Zor-El is supposed to be naive and honestly is a child which again it wasn't shown well in the movie, but is basically a child in a woman in a teenager's body. She does play that well. I think Helen Slater did a wonderful job with this. Now, Peter Cook and Faye Dunaway were both nominated for the Razzies, for the Raspberry Awards. But Helen Slater did win, and this was very early in them. She did win the Saturn Award for Best Actress that year. So maybe it was lack of other actresses. I don't know. But the fact is, she actually won it. And as I said, the Saturns were pretty early in their runs at the time, at least when it comes to movies. So it was nice to see all that stuff. But I liked it. And you know what? I don't mind watching. I watch it every couple of years. It's a fun enough movie that I just get a kick out of it. I actually really like the scene in the middle of the movie where, Ethan escapes and he's going through the city of the town of Midvale, and you know, he's all like this. Everyone's like, "Hey, you on drugs? Get off the street," or whatever. And Supergirl, the machine comes out. That is the cool, destructive scene of the movie. Watching this machine going around and wrecking cars and wrecking buildings and stuff, and then eventually managing to capture Ethan in the jaws like this, and then Supergirl just coming and ripping it right off. And Lucy Lane, of course, is exactly like her sister, and jumps in to try to stop the machine from working and gets knocked out. Movie knocked out, like bing, and they're out. So overall, I would give this movie a 3 out of 5. But if I was going to a 10 scale, it'd be 5.5. So you can decide your own thing. It's a middling movie, but as I said, it's just interesting enough to keep watching it. So that is my synopsis and opinions on Supergirl the movie. I recommend you take 2 hours and watch it. It's 2 hours out of your life, and I'm sure you've seen worse. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please comment about if you've seen the movie and what you thought. And I don't care if you say it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen Foot Sweat that looks better than this. I don't care in that sense. I just want to hear from you. I would like to know what you genuinely think of this movie. I'm a big Supergirl fan. The TV show was much better, at least in the first couple of years. But this was an honest to good attempt, and I think this movie was better than Superman 4. Hands down. Maybe almost the same as Superman 3 in terms of my liking. I think I would watch this before I watch Superman 3 again. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, as I said, like, comment, subscribe. And as I said in the beginning, if you're here and you're not a subscriber, please think about subscribing. I'd love to have you join our fun little club here. Okay? My name's Matt. I like comics and Supergirl movies. And I hope you do too. Thanks, everybody.